The National Hockey League, or NHL, is famous for many things, but one of its most unique aspects is the tradition of fans throwing things onto the ice. This habit is unlike anything in other sports, and it has led to some pretty wild moments. This unusual but long-standing practice has become a hallmark of hockey culture, creating memorable and sometimes bizarre moments in the sport's history. From symbolic sea creatures to surprising items, fans have used this tradition to express themselves, celebrate victories, or even show their frustration. Join us as we explore some of the most unusual and unforgettable things that have ever made their way onto the ice in an NHL game. Whether it's to honor a team's success, rally players, or just for a bit of fun, these on-ice antics are a testament to the passionate and spirited nature of hockey fans. So, get ready to be amused and amazed as we dive into the curious world of NHL fan traditions. Back in 1952, fans of the Detroit Red Wings started a unique tradition. They began throwing octopuses onto the ice during hockey games. The reason? Each of the octopus's 8 arms represented one of the 8 wins needed to win the Stanley Cup at that time. This unusual practice became a fan favorite in Detroit. One of the most memorable moments of this tradition happened during the last game at Joe Louis Arena, a famous hockey stadium in Detroit. In a special tribute during this final game, fans threw a giant octopus onto the ice. Imagine seeing a huge sea creature right there on the hockey rink. This event was more than just a hockey game. It was a way for fans to honor their team's history and show their passion for the game. The octopus throw was a fun, unique way to remember all the great hockey moments and the strong community of fans at the Joe Louis Arena. But it's not just sea creatures that find their way onto the rink.
Play went from a Wolverine to a Spartan.
During a New Jersey Devils game, a rather unusual and smelly incident occurred. Someone decided to throw a stink bomb onto the ice. This wasn't just any ordinary prank, it created a real stench and even a cloud of smoke. The smell was so overpowering and the smoke so thick that they had to pause the game to deal with it. Imagine the chaos and confusion among players and fans alike as they tried to figure out what was happening. Meanwhile, over in Nashville, fans created their own unique tradition in response to Detroit's octopus throwing. They began tossing catfish onto the ice during their hockey games.
This is the moment, and this young lady grabs it.
Especially when they played against their rivals, the Detroit Red Wings. This catfish throwing became a symbol of Nashville's team spirit. It's not easy to sneak a big, slippery catfish into a sports arena, but the Nashville fans did it with style and enthusiasm. This quirky tradition showed the world just how creative and dedicated hockey fans can be. Every time a catfish landed on the ice, it was a clear message of support and pride from the fans to their team. And then there are the times when fans express their frustration by throwing their team jerseys onto the ice. It's like saying, "I'm so fed up with you guys." In one memorable incident, an Edmonton Oilers fan threw his jersey out in disappointment, and the goalie, Ben Scrivens, wasn't having it. He used his stick to throw it right back into the crowd. But perhaps one of the most bizarre items ever thrown was a hot dog during a Boston Bruins versus New Jersey Devils game. The hot dog actually disrupted a shootout. Tyler Seguin was about to take his shot when the hot dog landed on the ice. He had to redo his attempt, but managed to score anyway.
It scores! Well, how do you do?
And who can forget the Florida Panthers' rat trick? It all started when player Scott Mellenby killed a rat in the locker room and then scored 2 goals that night. After that, fans started showering the ice with plastic rats whenever the Panthers scored.
And delays grew ever longer.
The picking up of the rats is sponsored by the Orkin people, right? Yes.
It got so wild that one time, they even found a live rat on the ice. Imagine sitting in the stands, enjoying the game, when suddenly, out of nowhere, a live chicken appears on the ice. That's right, at one game, a fan somehow managed to bring a live chicken into the arena and then threw it onto the ice during play. This bizarre act left everyone in the stadium, players, officials, and fans alike, in utter disbelief. People were left wondering how and why someone would bring a chicken to a hockey game. This strange and humorous incident was talked about long after the game ended, becoming one of those legendary stories in the annals of hockey history. It served as a reminder of the wild and unpredictable nature of hockey fans and the lengths they'll go to stand out in the crowd. And then there's the story of an elderly Flyers fan who, in a moment of excitement, threw her bra onto the ice. This happened during a game when Braden Shen scored a hat trick. She wasn't the only one, as a Vancouver Canucks fan did the same thing after Jeff Cowan scored his second goal of the night. Now, fans aren't the only ones who get in on the action. New Jersey Devils coach Robbie Ftorek once got so upset that he threw the entire bench onto the ice.
At times you have to be adjustable. You have to be willing to change a little bit, and at times I don't know if Robbie was willing to change.
And then there's Arizona Coyotes captain Shane Doan, who had a hat trick in one game but didn't get any hats thrown for him. So in the next game, fans made up for it by throwing hats onto the ice during warm-ups. But not all throws are good fun. Sometimes fans get really upset, like when Flyers fans started throwing light-up bracelets onto the ice during a game against the Washington Capitals. These bracelets were hard to see against the ice, so they had to delay the game to clean up.
Just listen to one fan's rude response.
No!
And in another game, Vancouver Canucks Elias Pettersson was startled when a bag of candy was thrown onto the ice. Then there's the bizarre case of fans throwing a salmon onto the ice during a Vancouver Canucks game. That's right, someone thought it'd be a good idea to throw a fish onto the ice. And in a nod to safety measures during the pandemic, a Nashville Predators fan threw a catfish wearing a mask onto the ice. Talk about being responsible. The fans in San Jose came up with a creative way to mock the Red Wings octopus's tradition. They threw a shark with an octopus sewn onto its mouth onto the ice. It was a wild way to make a statement. Hockey fans have a knack for expressing their emotions in unique ways. And sometimes, that includes throwing unexpected items onto the ice.
Fan decided to throw a bra on the ice.
It must have been a nice goal.
Nice. I like to see that. The game.
Take, for instance, the Winnipeg Jets fans. In a nod to their team's history, they once threw an Atlanta Thrashers jersey onto the ice, symbolically connecting the past and present of their beloved team. This act of reminiscing brought a wave of nostalgia to the rink. Then there was an incident involving the Dallas Stars, where a controversial referee decision led to a flurry of trash being thrown onto the ice by outraged fans. It was a chaotic scene, with the fans' displeasure on full display. In a more heartwarming turn of events, Washington Capitals' Nicholas Backstrom was showered with apples by fans to celebrate his impressive 1,000th NHL point milestone.
Dawes and Nicky's apples are on the ice here.
This inventive and sweet gesture showed the fans' creativity and appreciation for Backstrom's achievement. And who could forget the curious moment when Ottawa Senator Curtis Lazar spotted a hamburger on the ice and decided to take a bite? It was an odd but humorous situation that lightened the mood in the arena. Lazar's spontaneous reaction to this unusual occurrence added a touch of whimsy to the game, illustrating how hockey players and fans alike can find joy and laughter in even the strangest of circumstances. So, there you have it, the wild and wacky world of things thrown onto NHL ice. From sea creatures to food items and even personal clothing, hockey fans have found some pretty creative ways to express themselves. It's just one of the many things that make hockey such an exciting sport. If you loved hearing about these crazy on-ice antics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more thrilling hockey stories. And remember, next time you're at a game, maybe think twice before you throw something onto the ice.